Before we get started, let me read the emergency evacuation procedures. In the event of an emergency evacuation, an alarm will sound. Everyone should exit the building by way of the nearest stairwell in a safe and effective manner. If the nearest stairwell is blocked by smoke, use the other stairwell. Do not use the elevator. Once you have reached the main floor, follow the exit signs to exit the building and quickly proceed away from the building. Please be mindful of others evacuating and of emergency vehicles.
Mr. Chairman, you have 4 members present.
Thank you. Next is setting of the agenda. On our agenda, I'm going to change one little thing. I'm going to have the foundation audit go first and then the hospital audit, because the foundation goes into the hospital and that flows a little better.
Mr. Chairman, move to set the agenda with that correction made.
Thank you. Do we need a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Wait just one second,
sorry.
and I'll get a... Okay.
All in favor, yes or no?
Mr. Chairman, there are 4 yes votes.
Thank you. Next is the approval of the minutes. Everybody was sent minutes out. Does anybody have any additions or corrections or deletions to the minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Chairman, there are 4 yes votes.
Thank you. Next is the public input on items on the agenda. Does anybody have any public input? Okay, we'll move on to new business. Our first order of new business is the review of the Blount Memorial Hospital Foundation audit, and Ricky Luttrell with Rutherford Moss will do that.
Thank you guys for having me today. I'm Ricky Luttrell with Rutherford Moss. I was the engagement partner on the foundation audit. A couple of overarching comments on the audit itself. This was the first year that the foundation audit was a standalone audit outside of the hospital. So in planning and performing that audit, we did do certain procedures around those opening balances, even though they had been audited previously as part of the hospital audit. They were audited under a much larger scope than they would have been as a standalone entity. So we did do some opening balance work on those to get comfortable there, and we presented and issued our audit to the foundation board and issued it with an audit report date of September the 5th. It was a clean audit, unmodified opinion, and we noted no significant deficiency or material weaknesses that we communicated to the foundation. We did, as again, with it being a first year audit, first year that we've done the work, and also a first year as it being a standalone audit, we did a certain amount of control testing around the control procedures to make sure we were comfortable with those, in addition to obviously a number of substantive procedures as well. At the end of the year, at the end of the audit year, total assets for the foundation amounted to just over $2 million. It's $2,092,000. Of that, $1,994,000 were assets limited to use. So those are assets that were limited to use by restrictions from outside parties. Much of that are your, excuse me. Much of those were outlined, or the detail of that is outlined in footnote 2 of the audit report itself. But overall, very clean audit. Total revenue for the year was $418,000, and you're changing your net position, so your net income for the year was just over $5,700, $5,771, with your total net position for the ending at $2,081,000. Are there specific questions on the audit or our procedures that I could answer?
Does anyone have any questions? Jared?
Thank you. Having read I guess the next to last page of the report, you mentioned that you tested various, I guess, components of the internal control as part of the early stages of doing the audit. Does that include evaluation of effectiveness of internal control at that stage?
Yes. The evaluation happens throughout the course of the audit, and then, of course, but yes, there was an evaluation of the control processes to get an understanding of those on the onset, so we could plan our audit. And then, as we went through the audit, there was actual walkthroughs and testing of those controls to get comfortable with it in order to issue our opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else I can answer?
Amy? You have anything? Ron? I just to clarify, all the accounting functions are being handled by Blount Memorial Hospital now, correct? They do the
Yeah.
foundation itself doesn't do any accounting per se, correct? Not correct? Correct?
Correct,
The
yes.
hospital
Right, yes.
cuts checks, writes checks, signs checks,
Yes.
approves purchases, expenditures at the hospital level. Jonathan, is that correct?
I sign every check, and my accounting staff is the accounting department.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Does anybody else? Thank you.
Okay.
We
Again,
appreciate
thank
it.
you guys for
Thank you
having
for
me.
coming.
No problem, thank you.
Next, we'll move on to Mike Parton, partner with Culture and Justice, and he'll talk about the hospital audit.
Good evening. Mike Parton with Coulter and Justice. Appreciate the opportunity to be here and present the hospital audit report to you all. Ricky said that well in terms of the foundation rolls up into the audit of the hospital, and just to give an overall perspective, the hospital rolls up into the audit of the county. So as you know already, the hospital is presented as a discretely presented component unit. It has its own columns, footnotes in the county report. The county is audited by the State Comptroller's Office. The State Comptroller's Office uses our report. And of course, there's a three-way audit contract that you're aware of that happens between our firm, the hospital, and the Comptroller's Office as a matter of routine course. All those are the normal procedures, the normal arrangements, and this year's audit was no exception and was done very much in the same order as it's been done, in the past. We do issue a report on the opinion of the financial statements of the hospital, and you'll find that in the front of our report. It is an unmodified or clean report for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2018. There's an additional report in the back on compliance and internal control. That is also an unmodified report, if you will. It has no findings or deficiencies or matters reported. So that is consistent with what you had last year, and it's a clean report. If you look at the size and scope of the hospital's financial statements, very much 2018 was consistent with 2017, about $260 million in assets. And the size and scope of the revenues of the hospital are $271 million last year compared to $256 million the year before in terms of revenues. Overall, the operations from year to year are consistent, and we concluded our audit on time and on schedule, and we reported to the hospital board of directors in their September meeting. The hospital audit's been completed, released, and should be in the hands of the comptrollers in Blount County, and no further steps are required on our part. Do you have any questions that I can answer relative to the audit?
Amy? Jerry? One? I just have a couple, or maybe just one. I was looking at accounts receivable, and our allowance for bad debts went up over $3 million from last year. Now, I know that hospital receivables and billing is very, very complicated because you bill one thing and somebody pays you another, and then you have an adjustment here. I think it's a crazy way to do business, but that's the way the industry does it. but I was just curious for the large increase in the allowance for doubtful accounts, because 3 million, a little over 3 million increase. If, Mike, do you know, or Jonathan could speak to that? I mean, AR went up too. I mean, both things went up, but it seems like the allowance went up percentage-wise more than the AR went up.
We did have a pretty large growth in revenues, so based on those large growth in revenues, AR did go up, and of course, we do make allowances for bad debts. And of course, as we look, governmental payers, in particular Medicare and Medicaid, are paying a smaller percentage every single year of those accounts, and so that's part of the reason for that going.
Can I ask
Go ahead, Amy.
do y'all modify your fee schedule when the payment, who sets your fee schedule?
We set a fee schedule.
Okay, so, because that can have something to do with the receivable amounts if it's too high.
We do make a charge increase every year, and those charges vary for each area. We go in and analyze those as to where those charges can be effective because taking into account Medicare and Medicaid.
Right.
We really don't anticipate those charge increases.
Right, so sometimes that has a big effect on the receivables.
Can I follow up? At what point do you decide, I can't collect this, and we're gonna write it off? At 90 days, 180, 200? I mean, I don't,
Yeah. So
I mean, eventually you gotta write it off.
eventually we do write it off, and so that typically is somewhere between 90 and 180 days.
Okay.
So it just depends on the payer, it depends on that financial class, and it depends on that patient and their activity of whether they've made effort to pay that bill or not.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does any other committee member have any questions? Okay. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you guys from the hospital for being here. Our next order of business is the setting of the next audit committee meeting. I'm looking at doing that in February. I think in February, the state will have the county audit report finished, and hopefully Mr. Treese from the state can be here in February. I meant to look at what the February date is. Does somebody tell me what the third Thursday in February is?
21st.
February
Lord
21st.
wrote our meeting calendar. 21st? Okay.
21st. Does anybody have any problems with that? That could change if the state can't come do their thing on that, and that could change. But for right now,
At 5 o'clock?
5 o'clock.
Okay.
Does 5 work better for all the other meetings, or does 6 work better?
5 is good.
5's good?
Got a
Okay.
little assessment.
All right. Well, we will meet at 5 on the 21st of February,
Okay.
unless the state cannot meet then. We may go on another month.
Okay.
Does anyone have anything else? Any committee member have anything else we need to talk about? Mr. Vineyard?
I think it'd probably be wise to formally accept both audit reports, and then that way your minutes and the reports will go on to the full commission then.
That's a good point. Does somebody make a motion?
I'll move to accept both audit reports for the hospital and for the foundation.
Thank you.
I second that.
All in favor?
Wait just 1 minute.
Sorry.
Sorry. Okay.
You need a voting screen, but I'll vote yes.
Your screen won't come up.
Okay.
Ron votes yes.
Amy, how do you vote? Okay, you got it. All right, there are 4 yes votes.
All right.
Motion carries.
No other business that I know of. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Wait, it looks like we voted on,
Sorry.
Did I miss something?
did we vote on the audit reports or when the next meeting?
Yes, I pulled it back up to the Blount Memorial.
I didn't know, do we have to vote on the next meeting? I didn't think so. But we just voted on the audit reports. Is everybody clear on that? To accept both audit reports? Okay. We don't have to vote on the meeting date, I don't think.
That was what was on my screen.
Okay. Too much technology up here.
Okay. Well, if it was, we'll fix it in the minutes.
Are we square? All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. I'm not sure we have to vote on that, do we, once it's motion? All right, we're done. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. We appreciate it.